Hey, so I wanted to highlight a problem that I've noticed in the specific person manifestation community, and something that I also experienced personally, briefly, before dropping the entire thing myself. If you go back to the beginning of this channel, there are some videos about this stuff. When I stumbled on Neville Goddard, I pretty immediately then found the Neville Goddard online community, where nearly all that was being discussed was manifesting a specific person. For me, I had already used this stuff to create my entire life up to that point, for many years, 2 decades, thanks to having read other people other than Neville, and doing all this stuff in the silence of my own head, since there was, thank God, not a huge amount of stuff out there, a ton of people talking about it like there is now. So when I first read about this, I was just like, people are doing this? It was kind of, to me, what always made sense was that manifesting a general person should really be no different than everything else I'd done. That was just, it was just for me a matter of faith. I kind of had some conflicting beliefs, like I was cursed and I would never find the right thing and all that. But when you took away my issues with it, like, that, I don't know, when you took away those beliefs, when you would set those aside for a second, logically, I could say, well, I don't see what the difference is. If you can manifest finding an opportunity, you should be able to manifest bumping into the person who would work with you for a long-term relationship. That was about as far as I was willing to take it. The idea of actually attempting to essentially make a specific person do my bidding, who had already demonstrated, that naturally or whatever, they weren't doing that. Like, their natural relationship with me was not what I wanted it to be. To try to actually sort of mentally manhandle that into being what I wanted, it's not me. It just that doesn't appeal to me at all. But anyway, regardless, I was like, wow, people are doing this. And I kind of got sucked into it a little bit with the person who I had just broken up with about 4 months before that, who I had ended the relationship with. That person had still wanted to be with me. So that alone, is a major difference from most people who are doing this stuff. All of that to say that what I'm about to talk about still happened to me, because it's a personal thing, not not anything having to do with your specific person. It's about you. And the problem I'm talking about is that when you start to manifest a specific person, into what should just be a relationship between two people then becomes a success or failure for you personally. It becomes, instead of being about a relationship with somebody, it becomes about whether you did something correctly and whether you were able to make something happen or not. It's not about a natural relationship happening between two people. It becomes about your manifestation skills. And add into that also what after a while becomes a sunk cost fallacy. So you do all this work, right? You put all this emotional effort into something. For a lot of people, I think that emotional effort would have gone into moving past the relationship. It then gets channeled into doing imaginal acts, watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of stuff online, and spending a lot of mental energy on this task essentially being accomplished. And for me personally, I don't put any effort into something that I don't expect to have a big result from. That's just, I don't understand people that start businesses and they take years and years to fail and they never turn a profit. And that's just, I would never spend my time on that at all. If I'm going to spend my time on something, I want a result. I want a profit really fast. And so for me, it became very frustrating because I had put time and energy into this thing in a specific way that I had literally never put the kind of effort into into anything else in my life that I put into the specific person thing. And I had put small amounts of mental effort, manifestation effort into stuff with my business. Like I spent a small amount of time imagining the solution to a problem having happened and then just letting it go, because that's just, it doesn't require some huge amount of energy or effort to get something to happen for me in a lot of areas. And money was one of them. So, I had probably spent 100 times the amount of energy on this specific person thing that I did on anything else. And then essentially for months, nothing happened. And during those months, I was pretty disgruntled, as my friend Robbie Bobby Scotty, whose channel I've linked to here, was aware, because I was constantly just like, this sucks, and I think for a lot of people, you put that effort in and then naturally you start to get over the person. I was already over the person, more or less. So for me, this happened really quickly. Within like a couple of weeks, I was just like, I don't want to think about this person anymore. I don't want to, I've kind of done this thing and now I feel like I can't do what I want to do in this area of my life. I don't feel free anymore to create what I want in this romantic area of my life, because I made this investment over here that I'm waiting to ripen now and start to yield something. And I don't even really, I didn't really want it that bad in the first place. And, it created this psychological problem that didn't need to be there, frankly. And so pretty quickly, I just dropped it. And I had another thing going on in my life. And that was the thing. It created a conflict between another relationship that had sort of naturally started to crop up in my life and what I was working on, and with the SP thing. And that was just like, throughout that period of time, it became really obvious to me why this specific person thing is just kind of especially just not a good thing for most people. Can you do it? Yeah, you can do a lot of things. I mean, I think we've seen people do it. I believe some of the specific person manifestation stuff. I think for most people, it's just a bad thing. It just kind of, it shuts you off to the many other options that you have that maybe you haven't fully accepted that you have due to your emotions about the situation with the ex. And yeah, I've seen, like, one thing I've seen a lot that I just can't believe, I'm just like, oh my God, is people talking. So because I was modding this subreddit, I saw tons and tons of specific person posts that came in that are rejected because that's not allowed on that subreddit. And I saw over and over people saying, I've manifested a person who is just like my ex, like has the qualities about my ex that I want, or who treats me exactly how I want to be treated. But it's not the specific person, so I'm going to reject it. And I'm just like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Like, the only reason for that, literally, is because they have done work on a manifestation with something else. And to me, this is just, oh my God, like, it's crazy. So yeah, when you introduce into this other thing, the question of whether or not you're successful also, it adds this element that just, that to me makes no sense to be present in a relationship. A relationship is not about whether or not you succeeded at getting something or succeeded at causing something to happen. That to me, everybody's just like sliding like right one after another off a cliff with this stuff, because this just defies all, any common sense, logic, anything that makes any kind of sense. This stuff is, it just, I don't think anybody is really, it's like this particular area about this specific person is just full of terrible advice. And, I think that if we saw the kind of advice that's given to people with a specific person, if we saw it given to people who were, you know, going after a job. Like, would you ever hear this? Like, if people were this emotionally obsessed with jobs that they had to quit, you know, people quit jobs and because they weren't getting paid enough, or because they had a bad boss, or, you know, because it wasn't interesting enough. They don't then go and obsess over that job and say, you know, I want that job to be interesting, and I want that boss to be nicer, and I want to be paid more, and I'm going to obsess over this one job and be unemployed in the meantime, and bank everything on changing this. They don't do that. They just find a different job, you know? And I think that if people were this obsessed with jobs, they'd be getting called out left and right and being told different things left and right. But this community is all the lovelorn advising the lovelorn. You know, when you get specific person advice online, it's coming from one of two people most of the time, if they're telling you to continue to do it. It's coming from people that are selling you things, or other people that are in your position that also can't let go of somebody. And so they have to give you the same advice they're giving themselves so that they can, you know, it's like, it's this big vicious cycle. And I really feel sorry for anybody who gets stuck in that. For me, I was just like, you know, I had another thing going on in my immediate life, and there was no fucking way I was gonna, you know, not pursue that. And thank God I didn't, you know, thank God I didn't reject that, because it was a very important experience for me. And it led me to the point where I was able to, once that thing was over, I was able to actually meet the person that I'm engaged to now. And, you know, I was in the right place mentally for that. I was not in the right place prior to the experience in my real 3D life that cropped up in the midst of the SP manifestation. I was not in the right place mentally before that to meet the person I'm engaged to now. I needed that experience. And I easily, and of course at the time I even, you know, was thinking, well, should I even act on this since I did this other thing? It's like, dude, I mean, getting really fixated and stuck on a single thing is really disruptive to the flow of all of this, that I think the really successful people, the people that really like get everything and you know, really get to an amazing place, sort of naturally tap into. The specific person thing is the biggest impediment to forward movement for people that I've ever seen with anything ever. It's like almost as bad as a drug addiction. You know, which isn't to say you can't do it. And that's one of the things about all this manifestation stuff, is that when everything's on the menu, that's when it really becomes important that you are operating from a good, solid, mentally healthy base. That's not talked about here, really. You know, there's a lot of bandying about of self-love and stuff like that, but I really don't think anybody, you know, really gets below the surface on almost any of this. It's all affirmations, and, you know, for me personally, the path I've taken has been very different than what's being sold on YouTube. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.